What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I'm not talking about a hockey game for PWHL Ottawa for once. I'm talking about a hockey tournament, the Women's World Championship. The International Ice Hockey Federation World Championship just ended. There was a very long break for the PWHL. Obviously, a lot of players from the PWHL, including some players from PWHL Ottawa, made the trip out to Utica. Great tournament. Anybody who hasn't watched the tournament, you missed out. It was really, really good, especially the gold medal game and the bronze medal game, actually. Both of them were great. One thing. Okay, first off, I got to get it out of the way. I love 3-on-3 overtime. I'm one of the biggest fans of 3-on-3 overtime. I even love the shootout. I know there are some people who just don't think the shootout should exist at all. I like the shootout. I think it's a fun way to decide a game. I don't think it's a fun way to decide a medal, though. And both games, both the bronze medal game and the gold medal game, needed extra time. The bronze medal game between Czechia and Finland was ultimately decided in a shootout where Finland ultimately won. And I'm happy to say that Canada won gold. They did it on a 3-on-3 overtime. I think it was actually 4-on-3 because it was on a power play off of a very, very tough mistake to make. Too many men penalty to the United States, and ultimately it's on the power play that Canada scores. Brutal way to lose. And also brutal way to lose just in general. 3-on-3 overtime, it's a very different game. Very, very fast, very exciting, and I do enjoy it. But I've always been somebody who strongly believes, and let me be clear, both Canada and the United States have suffered from this. There have been seasons where Canada lost because it went into overtime or shootout, and it's not 5-on-5, and times where the US lost because it went to overtime or shootout. But it was nonetheless one of the most entertaining gold medal games I've ever seen. And overtime hockey is overtime hockey. Overtime hockey with a gold medal on the line, you can't top that. You really can't. It was one of the best games I'll ever see. It was very back and forth. And it was a high-scoring game. 6-5 was the final score. I mean, just an all-around great game. And the same, again, with the Finland-Czechia game. I really feel for Carla McLeod, the coach of PWHL Ottawa, because, I mean, you do so well, you get so close, it comes down to a shootout. It comes down to a shootout, and there's only so much you can do there. And just in general, though, PWHL Ottawa had a great tournament. Abstreiter, for one, named goaltender of the tournament and best player on Team Germany, and she really was. And she's consistently proving that, yeah, she could get a starting role in the PWHL. I'm actually way more confident after this. So I was already confident that we had, like, the best tandem in the league, and now I'm like, oh, we've got the best tandem in the league. Like, if there's ever a night where Maschmeyer lets in even like 2 goals in the first period, no sweat at all. We aren't going to be like, oh man, what's happening? We got Abstreiter. If Maschmeyer has an off game, we got Abstreiter. If Abstreiter has an off game, we had Maschmeyer. Because, by the way, Maschmeyer was also great. She also had a monster tournament. There was a point in the tournament where Abstreiter had I think it was a .067 goals against average, and that was the higher number because Maschmeyer had a shutout. Our goaltending was great. We also had Teralova and Shiga getting top 3 for their respective countries in Czechia and Japan. And 6 medals. 6 medals for PWHL Ottawa. 2 silver medals, Savannah Harmon and Haley Skamura. And 4 gold medals for PWHL Ottawa. Ashton Bell, elite. I've been ringing her bell, pun intended, all season about how she's one of the most elite defenders, and then she plays the way she does, she wins a gold medal for Canada, just proving my point. Emrance Maschmeyer, who I've already mentioned, just an elite goaltender. Brianne Jenner, who started scoring for Canada, she was the first player on Team Canada to get a goal. The captain of Ottawa came and showed up, and of course, Emily Clark, who scored a goal in the gold medal game. It does not get any better than that. A goal in the gold medal game. What more do you want to say? Just a great tournament all around for PWHL Ottawa. An absolutely stunning tournament. All of our players showed up. And as the tournament went on, I was like, wow, I think we do have the best team in the league. Not just because of how well, you know, we were in the medals, but also like every team, if they had an Ottawa player, they were noticeable. I believe Vanisova got an assist in the bronze medal game, or I can't remember all the points that all of our players got because we got so many. And also, there were players who didn't go to the tournament who probably should have. I mean, that I think is the best part, is when we're looking at all the players who didn't go, and I'm like, they definitely could have gotten a spot. They easily could have gotten a spot. We are a team of so much depth, but of course, first and foremost, a huge congratulations to all the players who showed up, whether they got a medal or not, just getting that call from your country saying, we want you to represent us. We want you to put on your nation, your nation's jersey, and represent them at the highest level of competition. That in and of itself is an honor that very, very few get. And of course, to those who medaled silver and gold, there's really not much that beats that. So an absolutely huge, huge, huge tournament. And I also want to talk a little bit about PWHL Ottawa. Big surprise. But now it's time that we transition. We're facing the very tail end of our season. 5 games left. We still have a comfortable lead, but not too comfortable. You know, if we slip up, we could miss the playoffs. But if we lock down, if we win our next few games, we could solidify ourselves. Now, all the excitement of the IIHF tournament needs to go away. We need to get ready and set our sights forward, because now it's the playoff push. Now it's really time for that playoff push. We are looking at the very, very tail end of the season. Not even a quarter left. It's less than a quarter of the season remains. And Ottawa recently has been showing so much promise. I mean, they left on such a high note. Their last game before the break was a really, really good game. And everything else kind of broke the way we wanted. New York beating Boston is exactly what we want, because we still have space. I believe, if I recall correctly, I want to say 5 points on Boston and 7 on New York, which is to say 2 games. 2 games on each. And we play New York and we play Boston. If we win both of those games, we could give ourselves a lot of separation that could really, really kind of safely get us into the promised land. And for anybody who follows the Ottawa Senators, myself included, that flame has been snuffed out. They have missed the playoffs officially for the, I think, 7th year in a row, is it? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, 7 years in a row now they have missed the postseason entirely, even when the postseason was expanded to include more than the usual 16 teams. PWHL Ottawa has an opportunity to rewrite scripts. And speaking of Ottawa hockey teams, also just a small little shout out. I don't follow minor hockey quite as much. I don't follow junior hockey nearly as much as I do professional hockey. You know, professional men's and professional women's hockey. That's what I'm really invested in, alongside professional football, Canadian and American. Those are the sports that I really heavily focus on. I'm hoping to get into lacrosse soon, now that Ottawa's getting a team. But I did want to shout out the Ottawa 67s, who not only made the postseason, but they upset Owen Sound in the first round with a win in 6 games. And game 6, what a win. So, you know, I always want to shout out all the Ottawa teams and their successes. Ottawa 67s are right now in the middle of their round 2 matchup. I believe they're down 2-0 against Oshawa, but the tournament's now, the series is now coming to Ottawa. Hopefully they can change the narrative and get some wins here at home. But in either case, you know, they were expected to be eliminated in the first round, and they fought through, they proved the doubters wrong, and they ultimately were able to get to that second round. So a huge shout out to the 67s, a huge congratulations to them. You know, that's where the PWHL Ottawa team plays. They play where the Ottawa 67s play. And so whenever I'm there, I see a bunch of banners and posters honoring the teams of old for the 67s. And so it's nice to see that even today, you know, they're following in the footsteps of other great players who've come through those doors. And, you know, it also makes me think that with PWHL Ottawa, that's what we're starting. We're starting those years of greatness where there are girls who are young right now, you know, maybe 5, 6 years old, and they don't realize that in 10, 20 years down the line, when they get called up to the PWHL and they play for Team Ottawa, they'll look up and they'll see numbers and championships and banners of all sorts. And that starts here. That starts here. And so it, you know, it's huge. And just in general, there's been so many great vibes of hockey and of sports in general in the Ottawa area. New lacrosse team, that's huge. Even the Ottawa Senators, I believe it's 19 sellouts they had, which when you compare to when they were really in the dog days, and I mean really in the dog days, it wasn't like that. You know, things are healing. Yes, you know, we still need the hockey to get a little bit better. We still need the product on ice to improve. But the fan environment, it's really good. It's better than ever. If you were to just look at it in a vacuum, if you were to just talk about one random Ottawa Senators game, not about the season in general, but just a game, the value of games today, I feel like they mean so much more. It's so much more fun. It's so much more inviting. It is better to be a Sens fan today than it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's better today. So that alone is great. It's better to be a fan of women's hockey in any city, but especially in Ottawa today, than it's ever been in the history of women's hockey. It's better to be a 67s fan today than it has been in other years, especially, you know, they were not a favorite. There have been years where they were a favorite and they didn't get it done. They weren't a favorite and they won a series that everyone said they weren't going to win. Things are going great, and I also want to say, you know, CFL season's coming up soon, and I've got lots of thoughts, and there will be CFL videos. So for anybody who's a fan of the Canadian Football League, stick around because I have lots of thoughts. I'm very excited for this upcoming season. And now it's time now, you know, if you're a Team Canada fan, if you're a Canadian, it's time to celebrate. We got gold, baby. But if you aren't, if you're American, if you aren't into international tournaments, if you're not from Canada or the United States or any other country, it's all right. We got PWHL hockey. It's finally coming back. I'm so excited to have PWHL hockey back. I have missed it dearly. And this is going to be a really fun run to the finish. It's gonna be a race to the finish line. Boston and New York both are still in it, and with New York beating Boston, they really did keep their season alive. They kept some semblance of hope alive. There's still a way they could make the postseason. If they lost to Boston, that pretty much does it. That kind of ends their season then and there, but they keep themselves alive. And so Ottawa is obviously in the safest position. Ottawa is the team that could definitely make the playoffs without having to worry about other teams. They are in control of their own destiny, but they do need to seize that control. And this has been a story that's come up over and over and over this season. Ottawa being in the driver's seat, but just not doing the driving. So hopefully, especially with so many players coming back from great tournaments and other players who might not have been invited to the tournament, but hopefully have that hunger of, I should have been there. I should have been on that team that won gold or silver, or, you know, I could have been one of the best players of the tournament. I showed everyone. I proved myself in the PWHL, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. That's what the PWHL, in a sense, should be. If you're one of the best players in the PWHL, that should be enough to warrant a call-up. Not who was on Team Canada last year or the year before. Who is the best player in the league right now? Because the PWHL, that's it. That's the top of the top. The best women in the world are playing in the PWHL. So the best women in the PWHL are the best women in the world. So hopefully, we'll start seeing the direct correlation. And I think we really do already see that. But, you know, there are a few players I can think of, you know, that I'm like, not them? Really? Like Daryl Watts, Gabby Hughes. Especially Daryl Watts. I was really surprised that Daryl Watts didn't get the call-up. She's the first player in Ottawa history to get a hat trick. She got a hat trick. She's one of the highest point getters on the team. But hopefully that'll add to the hunger. That'll add to the, I'm going to prove them all wrong. I'm going to win a PWHL championship. I'm going to get the call-up next year. I'm going to win gold. I'm going to be one of the players to win multiple different types of championships. But so many players that have been playing well in the PWHL, so many players that had a great tournament, just an all-around great team, great vibes. And as always, go Canada, go, and go Ottawa, go.